let me show you how actually changing the time view on your chart program can help you spot trends, trend lines, or chart patterns much more quickly. So for example, here I have a chart of VMC, and you notice here this is kind of like a messy zone area, and this one is easy still to figure out, but it's going to get harder on the next one that I'm going to show you. But typically you have messy charts on things that have lower volume. Typically less than 1 million shares will have messier charts because they jump up and down a lot more frequently due to the frequency. So on this one, I can kind of spot it because for me, I've looked at charts for a long time, but I see here a declining pattern. Some people may say it's resistance, but I see more of a declining pattern. And then the same thing here is kind of like a flag pennant thing happening. So I saw this really on the weekly. You can really see it more when you look on the weekly. So if you change your time view to the weekly from the daily, you go to the weekly, you can see that pattern forming much better, versus here you have the resistance level. Now there's nothing wrong with putting that resistance level if you're assuming that that's resistance. That's okay, but it really does look a little bit more formed like a pennant here or a flag shaped pattern. Now this one was not too bad. Again, let me show you the difference. That's the daily, and then we switch it, that's the weekly. Now that one's not too shabby, but let's look at AutoZone for a minute. Okay, here's our daily pattern, and notice how this one bounces a lot. It's going up and down and up and down, and it tends to hop a lot just because of the volume. The volume of AutoZone is really 387,000, which is a lot less than 1 million. So it will fluctuate and bounce around. And again, I could kind of see some patterns happening here, but if you go to the weekly, you can really spot it a lot easier. So on this one, again, notice I'm drawing my trend lines. Here's kind of what's happening. There's my support. There's kind of my support line. Here's my declining channel line. And you notice that on the weekly it's a lot easier to spot. If you want to go to a longer time horizon like a 9-day, it's even easier to spot it that way. And this just consolidates your time horizon or time view into a much easier and simple form. And it allows you to see things a lot more clearer than you would on, let's say, if you take the daily. I mean, look at that thing, that's all over the place. One day it's up, then a few days it's down, then up again, then down, then up. It's a roller coaster ride. So you have to be really careful and cautious. So if you go to the weeklies or even the monthlies, it'll really help put things into perspective and into focus. So make sure you switch to time view, and it also gives stronger support and resistance. So if you're looking at monthly support, it's a lot stronger than if you're looking at a weekly support, and a weekly support is stronger than a daily support, and a daily support would be a lot stronger than, let's say, a 10-minute or a 5-minute chart support. So watch those key levels and change the time view so you can really see and hone in on the different support and resistance levels. I hope this was helpful. It's also going to be helpful for you to spot the chart patterns by switching that time view. So keep an eye out for those things, and it'll definitely speed up your chart spotting and trend line seeking time frame.